Fresh scrutiny of 2020 candidate Joe Biden after his recent talk with Anita Hill. In a new interview, Biden is asked about that conversation, which his campaign said came over the phone in recent weeks after Anita Hill told the New York Times, quote, "I cannot be satisfied by simply saying, I'm sorry for what happened to you. I will be satisfied when I know that there is real change and real accountability and real purpose." Here's what Joe Biden had to say.
I'm sorry she was treated the way she was treated. I wish we could have figured out a better way to get this thing done. I did everything in my power to do what I thought was within the rules to be able to stop things.
You know, I think what she wants you to say is, I'm sorry for the way I treated you, not for the way you were treated. I think that would be closer.
Well, but I'm sorry the way she got treated. In terms of, I never heard say, if you go back and look what I said and didn't say, I don't think I treated her badly.
All right, so joining me now is former CEO for the DNC, Jess O'Connell, also the former executive director of Emily's List, and nationally syndicated columnist Adriana Cohen, also a Boston Herald radio host. So, Jess, let's start with you. With those comments coming from Joe Biden, will they go far enough for Democrats, if not for Anita Hill?
Well, I think there's two pieces to this dialogue. The first is obviously between the vice president and between Ms. Hill. And I think we have to take her at her word in terms of an apology and what feels authentic and sincere to her and the timing of that. And I think she's owed an apology, and I think we can all agree on that. But the second part of this is, how do you run for president in 2020 in this new era, in this moment? And, you know, the vice president has a 40-year history that is going to be looked at and talked about, and this is one piece of that. And I think Ms. Hill's not wrong. How he evolves and how he handles this issue and listening to women and how he shows respect for them along the way in this era that we're in now is going to be really, really important. And I think he's continuing to work on that, and I think he's probably still got a little more work to do. But I don't think we can forget what we're up against here, which is a president that has been accused of sexual misconduct by 23 women. His cabinet is down. Half of the women have left his cabinet in the first few years here. He's down to the lowest levels of women in power. And so I think we have to understand the dynamic we're going to be facing. And I think the vice president has some work to do, and I think we'll see that work along the trail over this next year. But let's not forget what we're up against here, which is a president that has really shown himself to be anti-woman, not just in his presidency, but over the last 30 years.
You say he's shown himself to be anti-women, which of course a lot of Biden supporters would disagree with. But I do want to go ahead and take a pause.
I'm talking about the president, not Joe Biden.
Oh, the president.
I mean, the president has shown himself.
Okay,
yeah.
yes. Okay, so and even and Trump supporters would of course say the same thing. But I want to go back to what you said about this 40-year history and other women. Jess, Biden was also questioned about the women who've accused him of unwanted physical contact. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Here's the deal. I have to be, and everybody has to be, much more aware of the private space of men and women. Look, I'm really sorry if what I did in talking to them, trying to console, that in fact they took it a different way.
Nancy Pelosi wants you to say, I'm sorry that I invaded your space.
Sorry I invaded your space. I mean, I'm sorry this happened. Yeah. But I'm not sorry in the sense that I think I did anything that was intentionally designed to do anything wrong or be inappropriate.
Adriana, let's turn to you, because the big question is this enough? Are you sensing a theme in his response to these women and to Anita Hill?
Yeah, I believe, it was a non-apology, and basically that's going to hurt him because it's going to turn into a protracted apology tour. And instead of moving forward and talking about his positions and what he wants changed in America, should he be elected,
it's a New Yorker. It's a picture of great big rotund
he's now
guy
going to have to. We're going backwards 28 years ago.
We heard him kind of addressing some of those pieces there. But also when it comes to Republicans, Adriana, are their hands tied when it comes to the debate on this one? I mean, especially when it comes to, as we heard Jess mention, President Trump's own history.
No, not at all. First of all, I have to push back a little bit on some of the things that Jess said. I mean, President Trump has empowered more women. It's a powerful executive positions in his administration that he's not getting credit for. I mean, look at Gina Haspel. She made history as the first woman to head the CIA. You've got Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Sanders. There's a laundry list of women in top positions in his administration. And also look at the unemployment rate for women. It's at a historic low. So that empowers women by giving them financial opportunity and the ability to achieve the American dream and achieve financial independence. That should be applauded by all women. So I don't think he's anti-women whatsoever. He's done more for women in the past 2 years than President Obama did in 8. I mean, look at the poverty rate under President Obama for women. I'd hold that up against President Trump any day of the week. And so I want to say that. But with respect to the allegations of sexual misconduct against President Trump, 99% of these allegations are false. They're unsubstantiated. I mean, show me one woman who can prove that he did something wrong. I'd like them to come forward. I mean, look at what happened with
Adriana, where are you hearing that
98%
of those allegations are false? Where is that coming from?
Well, I'm just saying, show me one that's actually true, that's been substantiated and corroborated. I mean, show me who they are. And, look at Joe Biden. I mean, there is just, anybody could go to the internet and find a laundry list of him touching women and young girls inappropriately. That's definitely going to hurt him in the Me Too era. So he better tread carefully there, because if he wants to dish it out to President Trump, he's going to push.
Let's be clear. Vice President Biden is no predator. Those kinds of allegations don't exist around him. This is, we need to be really careful about this. That does not exist around him. And I think that as we move forward through this campaign, all Democrats, including Vice President Biden, but every single Democrat that is running has a better record in support of policies that support women, in supporting and uplifting women. And, in terms of the women in Trump's administration, a lot of them have left. And so I think we understand the culture that's there right now. And so I welcome that debate I welcome that debate over the next year and a half about which party is going to be better for women. And I think what we're going to see is that this election is going to be decided by women. So this is a really important debate to have.
And I want to jump in here for a minute, because I also, Jess, I appreciate your response, but Adriana, I want to go back to something you said about this unemployment rate. Whenever we're talking to Trump surrogates and supporters, when he's talking about women or if he's talking about black people, the first thing I hear him say is, look at this unemployment rate, and he takes credit for this low unemployment rate. But is there not a difference between policy and rhetoric? And where do you draw the line, Adriana? If you're saying, I'm having these policies that you claim are supporting women, and some people are claiming are supporting African Americans, when you hear this rhetoric that, on the other hand, many would say is very problematic, why do you put more weight on the alleged policy than the rhetoric?
Well, we just have to look at the facts. I mean, if you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate across the board for all Americans, including women and minorities, is at historic 50-year lows. And then we also have the fact that President Trump has created, over 5 million new jobs. We're at a point now where there's too many jobs. Basically, we have more jobs available than people able to fill them. That's a good thing, because that gives all Americans choice and mobility. You're not happy in a job, you could switch to a new job. It gives you a better opportunity to negotiate higher wages. And then let's just look at the fact that wages are up as well for women, for all Americans. So this is something that helps women.
I see.
So many conservative. Yes.
Adriana, I'm hearing your points, but I also see Jess shaking her head. And I could have this conversation with you all day, but Jess, I want to make sure we give you the last word.
I mean, look, on the policy, let's talk policy for just 1 minute in terms of policies that help women. We need an increase in the minimum wage. We need equal pay for women for equal work. These are things that the Republicans and Trump administration do not support. Violence against women. The Republicans consistently kill the Violence Against Women Act. This is something that Joe Biden has led on consistently. I mean, we're happy to have that conversation, not just on the political rhetoric, but on the policies themselves. And, the Trump administration is no friend to women, whether it's about pay, whether it's about position, and whether it's about how we treat women in this country.
I think what's also interesting is that while we are talking mostly about Joe Biden and the president in this discussion, it's also going to be very interesting to see how the 2020 field plays out with a number of female candidates who are also running, and how that changes our conversation. Jess O'Connell, Adriana Cohen, thank you so much both for joining us this morning. It's been my pleasure speaking with you.